Hey there, Internet. It's Karanda Adair with Carvel Digital, and I'm back with another client interview. Today, I am talking with Jenny Chan. Jenny is a web developer. Can I say web developer turned CEO? Is that fair?
Sure.
I feel like you. Um, so we're just going to chat about your journey through Client Bootcamp and what's been happening with your business since then. But why don't you introduce yourself and tell people what it is you do and who you do it for?
Sure. So I am a full stack web developer. Um, so my focus is on building membership sites. And right now, my platform of choice is WordPress, but really, I can build a membership site on any platform, including from scratch in any language. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like a real
Like,
developer. I
who
was
do I
just
do
like
this
a
for?
poser developer. Like, yeah, no, you're just like the real deal, can do anything on any platform. So I love that. So what let's start with the beginning. I always like to kind of learn about your mindset in terms of how long were you kind of, you know, just like following us and checking things out. Like, were you thinking about boot camp? Like, how long was that process and what was it that started you on that path?
So I met you through the We Should All Be Millionaires group, and from there I checked out some of your content. With your blog posts, you always had a helpful link in the comments in the Facebook group, and I found out that you were also a web developer in a previous life. So I was very curious because I was like, oh, this person has done what I'm trying to do. Uh, so I think I must have been looking at Content Bootcamp for maybe like 6 months. But when I was looking at it, I was still kind of like running my previous membership site. And it wasn't until like I decided, okay, I'm not going to do that membership site anymore because this is too tiring. Um, and I decided that I would go all in on my web development skills. I first of all, I really love like coding, and second of all, like I was like, this is like an easy and quick way for me to actually earn a living without having to work for someone else because everyone's like, oh, like developers are highly paid. And I was thinking, like, okay, like I have a highly paid skill set. So I should be able to make this work. Like this, like, like people are making this work with all kinds of skill sets that, might be harder to monetize and they're doing it. So I'm like, okay, like, I got to figure this out.
Yeah. Well, and particularly the tech industry, like I can speak to, you know, being highly paid but working for a company, like as a woman of color in tech is not it's not the greatest, honestly. Like, did you have that experience of just trying to deal with kind of rampant uh bro
Yeah.
culture?
So personally, not, but in my company, the most senior female developer did. And I realized that I didn't experience it because I was the lowest on the totem pole. So I was a threat to nobody. But, like all women in more powerful positions, like that's just the reality when we move up the career ladder. So I was in no like this illusion about, oh, it's all going to be like sunshine and rainbows. As I progressed in my career.
So you saw the writing on the wall and you were like, okay, let me go and see if I can do this on my own. So when you made this decision and you decided to jump in, did you have any hesitations or any like concerns or things that you were worried about when you went ahead and jumped in?
Um, any worries? I guess it's just like, like when I jumped in, I wanted to kind of figure out my marketing, like everyone out there. Have a reliable way of bringing in clients. And I feel like I'm still doing that. I must be I feel like I'm a student that has gotten the results, but I haven't actually been doing the work, if you know what I mean.
I don't. Say more about that.
Okay, so I actually haven't really been like doing a lot of regular marketing, but I think it's also because you needed to install like a new operating system in me. So I feel like that's the work that I've been doing. It's actually changing my mindset and looking at what I do differently. And that's actually the first step, even before doing all marketing stuff and writing blog posts. Because one of the struggles I had was that, like, I felt like, everyone else was building the marketing website, and there's a million different people doing the marketing automation, and I'm like, I don't freaking care how you bring them in the door. I don't really care about your tracking links or Google Analytics. Um, so I was really struggling because I didn't really want to do these things. So no wonder it was hard for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's accurate. And I love that you bring that up because everybody comes into the program with their own sort of thing that has been holding them back or that they really need support with. And for some people, they come in and they're like, okay, I need clarity around my offer. And then they're good to go. So you were really struggling with one. I remember your pricing, right? I kept telling you, like, I kept
Yeah.
asking you, like, okay, how much are you charging for this? And saying, like, no, more, more, more. And you were really struggling with that, right?
Yeah.
And then also what people think of when they think of web developer, right? They think of marketing, right, these days.
Yeah.
And you really wanted to focus on, hey, what happens after you get that client, right? You have, if you need your website to actually deliver an online experience, like what is that experience? And it's pretty terrible, like for most programs, right? There's all sorts
Yeah.
of, crappy all-in-one tools out there. And you're like, hey, there's all these multi six figure and seven figure business owners still just using that Kajabi website and providing that kind of subpar experience. So let's look at that. And I feel like once you gave yourself permission to really go all in, that's kind of when things started to move for you. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's just way more interesting to me. And then even for writing the content, I'm like, okay, I do have stuff to say now that I'm not like dreading, to write about, especially because I've also ran my own membership site before. So it was kind of like a really natural thing for me to talk about bringing in my previous experience of running like a large Facebook group, and then how I onboarded my members into my membership and set them up for success. Yeah, because like you mentioned, the all-in-one platforms, they don't necessarily cater to people's specific needs. They're doing kind of like a general IKEA type
It's a
type of
it's a
experience.
really good way of describing it. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember seeing your post, like I don't remember, like there was a call or maybe a series of calls where you finally unlocked this piece. You're like, "Oh, wait, it's okay for me to just focus on this thing that I'm actually interested in." And then you're like, "Oh, I have opinions." And then I saw your post just like, you were off to the races and you were like, "Oh, and another thing. Oh, and another thing." And I would look and see like all these opinions that you had. And I feel like that's a really common thread where people come in and once they unlock and they get permission to sort of get on their soapbox, they're like, oh, wait, I could just talk about all the things that have been annoying me about this, or all the things that people have been doing wrong, or all the things that they could be doing right. And I really saw that get unlocked for you. Um, so then what happened? Then you started talking to more people, right? You started getting more inquiries. Tell us how things kind of progressed from there.
Yeah. So yeah, I did a project where I was building kind of like a membership site from scratch, and then I think that was the project that unlocked the permission. I'm like, okay, this is actually what I like doing. I want more projects like these. Like, forget all the other um business websites. Like I'm not doing them anymore. And then I think I actually had a little bit of a dry spell where I was like upgrading, the
Mhm.
brain. Um, and I was, putting my marketing together, updating my website and website copy. And then when the right client came along, because we had all of our talks contract with our pricing, when the right person came along, I was actually able to, you know, name a price that was like 3 times my like previous biggest projects. And while they didn't go for that price, like we negotiated, it's still like the biggest project that I would have delivered. So yeah, even I guess even though like it might not have looked like a lot of things were happening with like activity, it was like I was preparing for the right person to come.
Mhm.
And then you recommended, go WP with some of the contractors that I could hire and outsource to help with my projects. So, like, since I knew about that resource when this project came along, I was like, okay, I'm charging enough so that I can have someone to help with the design, and it's way better than what I could do like personally because I'm not a designer. I don't want to do the design part. Um, and then I could also hire a developer to help me to, write all the styles. So I don't have to like, write every single line of code and pay attention to like every little like detail on the page. I could have someone, even to help me with look over my work.
Yeah, and that was so huge when you came and shared that because you like I just remember back when you started, you were just struggling with this mindset, and I remember a conversation we had where I was like, "You're not selling websites, right?" Because you had this mentality of like, "Oh, this is what I'm selling." I'm like, "No, you're selling a solution." And I feel like once you actually internalize that, like, oh, what people are buying is the outcome, not the process to get to the outcome, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I just feel like once you unlocked that, it was like the start of all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, I don't have to write every line of code. Let me hire some people to do that. And I remember you coming to a call and be like, I have all this time on my hands. Like, what should I do? You're like moving house and like taking up hobbies and like what's the describe some of the differences between like your business a year ago and your business as it is today.
Oh, well, a year ago, I was really just getting started with like, going all in with my web development. Um, I was doing like VIP days for, I mean, it's still the same price, but it's like, like $2,000, 2,500. And that was what I was like trying to sell. Like, so one sale was like $2,500. And now, like, with my biggest sale, it's like 10 times that. Um, so that's huge. Like, I wasn't really even thinking about, like selling these large, massive projects. Um, wasn't thinking about hiring anyone to help me.
You were just like, let me try to make this work.
Yeah, yeah. Or like, struggling with, oh, like maybe I have to build the business websites. Like that's just maybe what I
Oh
have
yeah.
to do. Um, I'm fairly okay at design, so maybe I can do it. It'll be kind of easy money. I don't have to do a lot of it, but there was like a lot of like justifying to myself, like why I might, you know, decide to do it when I don't really want to.
Yeah. Yeah. And even your voice as you're talking about it is like, well, I could do this and I know how to do that. And I guess I could, it's just
Yeah,
like
I'm
that
like,
whole
oh,
energy is just like,
yeah, it's like it'll feed me, like I can live off of
right.
it.
Yeah, and that, like, you can't show up and sell with that energy, with, like, the energy of resignation, and so, one of the things that we do is we really unlock, like, what it is that is gonna, like, get you out of bed in the morning and be excited to get up and go to work in your business. There was another
Yeah.
revelation that you shared recently that I wanna talk about your particular role that you wanna play in your business and the things that you don't wanna do. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So after all the homework that Crondra made, give us in content boot camp, I was like, I don't want to be the one doing this. I don't want to be the one doing the marketing. Like figuring out how to like sell myself, like just someone else do it.
Right? And I love that you had that because one thing I'm constantly saying is that we actually get to choose the role that we want to have in our business. And if marketing isn't it, that's okay. But can you imagine if you were still in the energy of, oh, I think I have to make business websites, or, I could do this, but I'm not excited about it. And then also trying to outsource your marketing?
Yeah.
Like, so the fact that you came in and got that clarity, right? And got your rates to where they are means, oh, okay, now I've had this revelation. I don't actually want to be the main one doing this. Let me then figure out what I do enjoy doing in the business and then set my pricing up to be able to get the support that I need. And sometimes that is, I don't want to do the marketing. Like, and you're not the first one too who's gone through and been like, oh yeah, let me hire a copywriter to write these emails. Let me, so people, if you're out there thinking like, oh, you're coming here to learn how to be a marketer, for some of you that might be true, but for some people it might be you're coming here to learn how to market your business. And then if you don't want that to be your primary role, that is also an option. So I think that's really good to point out. Um,
Yeah.
so any other things that you found either surprising about boot camp? Like, from when you came in to the experience that you had, were there things that you didn't expect, or was it kind of like what you expected? Were there any surprises?
I wouldn't say there are any surprises. I think for me, the most valuable is like kind of all the web development knowledge and experience you have. So you can recommend me like the tools and like new ideas. So when you gave me new ideas on what I could do in my own business, I kind of went down some rabbit holes, bought some courses, and never used any of the courses. But I was like, okay, at least now I know it's an option. It's like, it's not for me, but this is something that's out there in the world. And I think just, with a lot of service providers is kind of like they kind of aim for the bottom of the barrel, and that's what a lot of the examples I was seeing with like the different like web development agencies. And so I was working off of like really bad examples. So like when you gave me the new, the ones that you follow, I was like, oh, okay. So you can actually charge to write project plans, like implementation plans. I'm like, okay, I could like make some money off of this. New revenue
Yeah,
stream.
I totally forgot about that. The charging for discovery, right? Because web
Yeah.
development is complex, especially you're dealing with membership sites, you're dealing with full stack. So, and I remember vividly like having that revelation myself as a young developer, being like, wait, I can actually charge money for all this research that I'm doing to put together this project. And the first time I actually charged the money and they paid it, and I was like, oh my God.
I
So it,
haven't done it yet, but I was too scared to do it for the last person. But I mean, I still got the project, so whatever. But yeah, that's
all right.
still one of the things that I have to try.
Still on the bucket list. You'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have a sweet spot for folks in the web related industry because there is so much personal knowledge that I bring to just like steering you around some potholes. Um, how have you found the community? Has that been helpful for you?
Yeah. I love meeting with the other boot campers. when I was, we become Facebook friends, and, cheer each other on with each other's content. And yeah, and then sometimes when you see other people writing their content, you're like, oh no, I need to do this too. Like I gotta keep up. So that, brings in additional motivation to do the marketing. And then I swear, I like Marissa always likes all my posts, and I'm like, okay, like I just always have like someone rooting for me because we're both in boot camp.
I love it. Yeah, positive peer pressure. I'm always creeping on all of your posts. I love to see it. I'm always like, uh, I don't think I've had to do this with you, but I'll be in people's DMs being like, "Hey, you misspelled this word." Just trying to make sure everybody looks good. Um, so for folks, so I want to acknowledge this question, but I'm going to say, so Sarah Decker was like asking, "What's your favorite WordPress plugin for a course?" And Sarah, I'm going to tell you, go find Jenny and book a call with her. um, but what's something that you want to say to the folks who like there's people right now who are watching this or they're going to watch it. They're swirling around the ecosystem and they're wondering like, is now the time? Is this really the right thing? What's your advice to those folks?
My advice would be just book a call and see if it's the right fit for you. I feel like all the people that I've met in boot camp, we've all made more money, thanks, Cassandra, and have more fun doing it because we're not like trying to run around, with our heads cut off, like, because you steer us back, to what we need to focus on. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I say just do it.
I call it the herding cats part of boot camp when everybody starts to go off and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, bring it in. Everybody bring it in." Like, go back to basics. I just had a call like that actually right before this. So I put the link up if you want to apply, if you want to book a call with me or someone on the team to talk about boot camp to see if this is right for you. I was actually just going back through like all of the people who have gone through boot camp and the success rate is really, really high. It's like over 99%. And I define that as people who, recoup their investment. They made more revenue by going through the program. They upgraded their mindset. Some of them got more time back. They got clarity around their offers, like all of these things. And I think one of the big reasons for that is that we are not trying to like enroll everybody and their grandma into this program. Like we're really, and that's why I'm having these chats so you can see who is going through this program and what their experience has been and what their results have been. So that if you are thinking about, is this right for me? Like, do come and have that conversation because if it's not, right, if it's not hell yes on both sides, I'm going to say, or someone on the team is going to say, you know what? Like you're great and your offer is great, but it's not the right fit because of X. Or maybe you should go talk to this person instead. Like we're totally upfront about doing that. And I think that has contributed to the high rate of success is that people who do come in, even if they're a little scared, a little nervous about it, like they know in their gut it's the right thing. And then they jump in and they commit. So if that's you and if you have this little knowing in your soul that's like, oh, I really need to check this out, go and hit the apply link. Let's get to know each other. Let's have a call. And we'll tell you. We'll tell you if it's the right thing and we'll make sure that you get all your questions answered. So, Jenny, I want to thank you so much for giving your time. And I love your sort of quality over quantity approach to your marketing after you've gotten this clarity. And I think with the size of projects you have, that like client selection is everything, right? So keep holding out for those amazing clients. Charge for discovery next time. And and thank you so much. I'll see you on the internet.
All right. Thank you. Bye.